done around the world. On one hand, we have the taxman. On the other hand, we have big soda, or soft drink manufacturers as are commonly known. And these two groups are at loggerheads about the amount of sugar that is in our drinks. So a number of countries have decided that they will introduce what we just generically call the cereal tax. And in South Africa, it has been introduced since April of 2018, which is this year. The primary argument from the taxman is that they will be curtailing the growing prevalence of obesity and non-communicable diseases. However, there is evidence to the contrary, that sugar tax might actually not be the answer that we are looking for. So what is this sugar tax, and why would it likely not work? I am here to share with you some of history perspective of sugar tax and other points that show why it will not work. First, let's look at the South African context. They are saying, or they have said that any soft drink that contains sugar, about 4 grams per 100 milliliters, which is about a teaspoon in about 1/3 of this glass, would be taxed. Anything that contains above that, meaning that anything less than will not be taxed, will be levy-free. And then there's an exception here. They're saying this only applies to soft drinks, meaning that you also leave out products that also contain added sugar. Those products will include your ice creams, your breakfast cereals, chocolates, yogurts, and fruit juices, which are also drinks, by the way, with a lot of added sugar. So, who here is being curtailed? Are we really controlling the amount of sugar in what we take, or are we looking at specific industries that we are targeting? Is that the way to go ahead and curtail obesity? Is that the answer to the obesity problem, non-communicable diseases? I think not. There's an exception here as well. It is said that all manufacturers who produce drinks that have a content of about 500 kg in a year, less than 500 kg in a year will be the exception, will not be taxed. What really are we saying here? Who are we targeting? Are we targeting the amount of sugar in the drinks? Or are we targeting the production levels? Or do we just want to make tax out of soft drinks? Are we really concerned about obesity and communicable diseases if that is the approach? I think not. As I've said, all sugar is sugar. Whether you take it in the form of a drink, of course. In a drink, it will go through your system, it will be absorbed faster, giving stress or raising stress to your pancreas. But then, so are other added sugar products. What do we say about them? In South Africa, for instance, we eat a lot of refined foods. That is whole processed foods. We eat a lot of bread without any nutrients. We take out the bran and the germs that are removed from the grain, leaving only the bread that has little nutritional value. So in the end, we are taking all of these stuff that are likely to also contribute to the health hope that we are seeing. So are we really worried about the health implications, or are we only looking at industries that are actually producing larger volumes that can help us reach our tax amounts that we want? The third thing is public education. When we talk about communicable diseases and obesity, there is a public education aspect to it. Have we really tried other avenues, other interventionist systems that can also help us contain obesity in South Africa? Once again, the answer is we have not. What we are doing is we are saying we are going to tax you for the number of drinks or the amount of sugar that you take in your drink without telling you why. Is that really the way to go in trying to contain communicable diseases? Once again, my answer is no. The third point that I would like to raise is that of status. Soft drinks are likely to draw a divide between those who can afford them and those who cannot afford them. How many of us here have 4 drinks in a day? That is either a can of soda, 4 cans of soda, or 4 glasses of soda. No hand raised. How many of us here take 3 cans of soda a day? Once again, no hand show. 2 cans of soda? 1? We have only one member who takes 1 can of soda. I, for one, stopped drinking soft drinks altogether around 2012. But that was not because I wanted to get rid of obesity or the likely cause of obesity. It was a personal choice. It's something that I could live without. So those that can afford sodas will likely buy them without being curtailed by the price, and those who cannot afford them will find another means of buying them. Because once again, sugar is something that is that causes dependency. If you enjoy your Coca-Cola, no matter how much it costs, you will always get your 2 liters at the end of the day. The third thing that I'd like to point out, the fourth thing actually, is what I call the industrial complex coupled with government oversight. The industrial complex works in a very interesting manner. If you're going to tell Big Soda that they need to control the amount of sugar in soft drinks, they will find other means to make sure that your drink is sweet. The case of that being artificial sweetness. An interesting point that I'd like to note down. In America, in the USA, they had been using aspartame as an artificial sweetener in drinks, while the rest of the world did not do it. This was because in America there were protests from both scientists and the community at large, complaining about the effects that are likely to occur from using aspartame. There is a recommended amount that you can take, which is about 40 milligrams per kg of a human body, meaning that there is around 12 cans of soda in a day. I would like to tell you that there are actually people who like their drinks, and that threshold is not very far from what they take. So now we are introducing artificial sweeteners that also are likely to contribute to the health load, because aspartame has been known to cause things like multiple sclerosis, or has been linked to those, lupus, brain tumors, blindness, seizures, mental health problems. So now we are compounding our problems. And lastly, I would like to leave you with a bit of history. Denmark introduced sugar tax in the 1930s. In 2014, they got rid of it because they called it ineffective, or they referred to it as an ineffective measure. Mexico introduced in 2013, and no one has given any values or data that can be agreed on whether it has led to a decrease in obesity or communicable diseases. The only numbers that you are given are the numbers of reduction of intake of sodas. Are we really looking at reducing the numbers of sodas, or are we looking at communicable diseases and obesity? Once again, I will tell you, those are not our concerns. So, that is the myth we live with, the myth of sugar tax. That's the Toastmasters.